I have been interested in the people of the Cameroon because I have been disappointed by other people, say from Nigeria. So my people voted for reunification. We were to be reunited at a higher level of the state, but allowing each government to run its own affairs. From the 60s, from the 50s, I took an interest in the movement of coming together, as I take the interest of possibly all Africans to come together and work as a body for development. America has shown us that. Now Europe is showing us that. We want also to come together so that we can work together for the purposes of development. My friend and brother Dinka and I had worked since the late 50s together to form political organizations, but we hadn't the means to meet the areas and the personalities who were involved at that time. In 1960-61, I contested a rigged election, and I took it at ease. In 1967, I contested another election which I did not accept on the ground that I was nominated by another person before people voted for me. So if they did not nominate me, if they did nominate any other person, perhaps they would vote for the person. I don't bother about that. But I won the elections, and in 1968, I was a member of parliament and a member of government. I worked hard to give satisfaction to my people, to do the work for which I was voted into power. I worked hard to see that help should be given to the people. I worked hard to follow the principles of justice which were being explained at that time. I did not understand a number of things that had been done before, which Cameroonians did not know about. Southern Cameroonians knew nothing about them. No lawyers to look at the background of our coming together. So when in 1968 I was a member of government, I worked very sincerely. I believe that I did what I may not even do inside my own house. I worked well until I left government. I did not say a word. When I left government, I continued working. I continued working, not for government in particular, but for the people. Working for the people at one time, I was supposed to have been training soldiers. And my tribe has not trained any soldiers at any time to fight. Who were we to fight? In 1990, Mr. Late Bafoncha called me up and asked me what we were doing in the South. I said, well, many political parties are working since we came together, and you people agreed that we should form one political party. The one political party has given powers that many political parties should be created. But it is necessary to have a means to create that party. He asked me to go ahead and form a political party. They have seen Mr. Frundi form a political party in the North, and they are waiting. If it is accepted, they will join it. If it is not accepted, they will join any party will be found in the South. We discussed reasons for that, and I accepted. In the South, I made an effort to meet people I thought were capable of helping the Cameroon. Unfortunately, they did not accept. So I found that it was necessary to work with Frundi. If we work with Frundi in the North and the South, together it will be better. We went to see Frundi and announced my interest. But government did not accept the party that Frundi had put up. They gave us regulations. From those regulations, we had to work them up. And when we worked them up, we sent our papers and they were accepted. Then I became a member of Frundi's party. I enjoyed the party. There was a measure of democracy being discussed in it. For a long time, I saw some problems coming in. And I believe that if we were not in parliament and the CPDM were alone in parliament with any other party that did not understand the problems of Southern Cameroon, it would be nonsense. So I advised my colleagues, let us send people to parliament also, so that they would be able to put our case to the people. So the people with whom we were in meetings accepted it, and we put up candidates. I was there because the party that Frundi and a number of friends, Mukong and others, Anyangwe, Wakai and others created were all together a party interested in Southern Cameroon. And we wanted to be a people who were completely independent. Whatever Biya was doing was not important to us because he has been given all the advice. He has been written to. He has refused even to receive members of government. People like Foncha, who were patron, sometimes a patron, a leader. People like Muna, who were a leader to all of us. He refused to receive them. So I believe that there was something wrong. I made my own small man's effort and visited him 3 times. He refused to receive me. So I knew we were only wasting our time. So I joined Frundi. And we worked together for a number of years. But the people we sent to parliament have not, in my opinion, brought up one point, raised anything acceptable to the country in parliament. They were just like workers who could be paid and be made happy. They could not work with a whole heart for their people. We found that the people of Southern Cameroon split themselves and were fighting against themselves because of money, not because of the love of their people. I saw that it was a problem that I could not improve upon alone without withdrawing myself from the party, SDF, which I supported and for which I was a leader also. At last, I informed my colleague and friend and junior brother that I'm sorry, I'm going to withdraw from the SDF. I'm not satisfied. I've done everything at the highest possible level, and I see that we are not keeping to regulations what we hoped to do, to make for the people of Southern Cameroon. He really refused to set me out. He said he did not vote for me. here are the people who voted for you. We shall ask them. Tell them that you have resigned. I went to a meeting and they asked me, I explained to them. They did not say I was wrong, but they said they wanted me to remain and continue to advise. Unfortunately, from the day I said that, I did not attend any meeting. Until after a year, I decided to address the House. They were happy I went there. Unfortunately, I got there and I saw a very long program, and I had a program waiting for me. My colleague asked me to wait, and I could not wait, so I did not address them. I came back home and sat me quietly working. That is what happened. I was not happy with them. But since 1993, we had our meetings in where Northwest and Southwest together were working, trying to put our affairs together. But unfortunately, the government did nothing to improve the situation. We saw that his declaration of 1984 was something that he had taken as a decision. Soon afterwards, Mitterrand announced that an Anglophone cannot be leader of a country which is Francophone. In fact, called them a Francophone, not even a colony. They were subjects, but we can never lead them. That, I believe, was not at the interest of Southern Cameroon. Secondly, we were not coming there for leadership or for leadership situations, but the politicians can never say that to the public. By saying that, he had divided us. Pasqua later on came and told us, you cannot allow Anglophones, and they will never be allowed to lead you. Here are people who thought that they were together. They were bringing both the British system, the French system, choose out the best of it and make use of it. Unfortunately, they refused it. And our president told us he was the best student of Mitterrand. That's why we were. So I withdrew. Unfortunately, the government accused me for many things. I just kept calm, and later on, I had myself nominated by a few friends who attended a meeting in the United States. Our boys at home too called me up to unite them together, to work together with them in an old party. I thought over the matter, and I said, well, if they needed me coming together with others who had worked, I would try to do it. One man cannot change a country. You must have a number of people working together with them. And just before that, Alubwede had declared the independence of Southern Cameroon. Unfortunately, he was arrested and locked up for a year plus. I think a year, 4 months or so. We cried it out at home. Said everything, nobody even listened to us. We were just digging our graves. So when the people sat in a meeting and elected me, I told them, well, I will try. But you should know that I will not change from the diction of Alubwede, who declared independence for this country. And the people said, okay. So I continued. We tried to make the head of state understand that we are not enemies. We are brothers and friends. To all Africans, we should work together. We saw at last that he treated us as slaves. Wrote him, no reply. We saw that in 1990 it celebrated his 30th year of independence. Southern Cameroons, which joined them in 1961, was not mentioned in any word in their speech. The map they produced had no Southern Cameroon as part of it. And we looked at the position and found that really they have left us out completely. If they have left us out completely, and they have removed one of the stars in the Union Jack, which really brought unity to us, we were not there again. Then where are we? Then we should declare our own independence. Ebong had done it, and so we should be able to help to make our country an independent one. So the first thing we did was to celebrate the 40th year of our anniversary, our anniversary. We informed the head of state in writing, informed the Minister of Territorial Administration, informed the United Nations, informed all those who ought to be informed. We did not receive a single reply. We held our meetings. Once we sat even in Buea to write and ask the head of state what is happening. Because the Secretary of the United Nations visited Cameroon, and the people chose me to go and meet him and tell him what is happening. I was refused the possibility of meeting him. When we went to that meeting, we were all arrested and forced to sit on mud with rain falling. We were locked up until night that international bodies and students demonstrated. That is why, for a day of imprisonment in a latrine, we were left out again. We continue to say the 40th anniversary must be celebrated. The first anniversary, the first meeting we had was in 1993. It was in Buea. The second meeting was in 1994 in Bamenda. No answer from the government. The third meeting was when Ebong announced the independence. Ebong was imprisoned and suffered. We do not know whether he is yet real or it is the Ebong who made this announcement. Whether they left him free to come and serve his people. All what Ebong told us later on was that he was in the line of death. He would be killed any time and he had to escape. Ebong escaped to a neighboring country. So when I was called up, I said, well, I have grown up I have seen a little bit of the past. And I've seen how we were treated. I've seen a little bit of the present. And I saw that we were treated as slaves. And a few people were raised up to look down upon the rest. I remember I was one of those raised up right back in the late 60s and in the 70s, to look down upon the rest. I refused to do it. I did work my own way to make my people appreciate that they had a representative. So we decided to celebrate the 40th anniversary after informing everybody. The people from Victoria to Nkambe celebrated the occasion with dignity. Unfortunately, we were attacked by the gendarmes and the police of Southern Cameroon, of La République du Cameroon. They didn't think of anything like a Southern Cameroon. Others were beaten, suits torn, clothes torn. Others were imprisoned Others were shot. Others were killed. That is the situation in which I find myself and my colleagues from all over the Cameroon. If the Cameroon Republic wants to kill all of us, it is a time that you, the children of Southern Cameroon, should understand that we joined La République. Without their help, we voted. And after voting, the reasons for being together have never been implemented, have never been signed. And so we have again withdrawn because nothing has been done. The unfortunate thing, we find ourselves, all properties we had are being sold, all ports were closed down, roads from the south to the north were closed down, nobody could move there. To go to the north, you have to pass through La République. To go to the south, you did the same. Go from La République towards a country nearest us. The road was never to be touched because they wanted to cut relationship with a world of Africa which we want to bring together. So I find myself there. I have a few friends. We're all in prison, locked up for a number of months, about 47 days fully, apart from the other little imprisonments left and right. When we came back, we went to celebrate the ceremony of the dead, particularly in the northwest in Banso. We visited the areas where these people were dead. We marched in the street, carrying our flag along, because we had no fear again. And we have no fear again. We have asked that we don't want gendarmes in the southern Cameroon to maltreat our people. And we were well maintained by the population. We were well supported by the trained, hard-working lawyers of our country who never wanted to see us troubled at the time we were in prison. We were fed. We were protected in court. After the ceremony in Banso, we drove down to Bamenda. We started thinking what to do. The governors have said they didn't want to hear us anywhere. They had said they didn't want us to be seen. We should be treated the way you can treat an enemy. We found that the governors themselves were so primitive. They did not understand where they belong. And they did not know the work of a governor. We sat down together and asked ourselves, shall we end here? Elad had ended. Fossum had done nothing. Mukete had tried a little, but the government took him over. Now, Alobode Ebon had made a declaration. He with Chief Ayamba had worked together, and they were arrested and sent to Yaoundé for no crime. And we have only celebrated the 40th anniversary, for which we thought we shall be praised. We decided to go on. We tried to check with friends in the eastern part of Africa. They said, we are surprised about you people. You are a wonderful group of people. They can do you anything, you only sit down and look on. You are a wonderful group of people. President Bongo went to the extent of saying if he died and he came back again to this world and they asked him to become a president, if he were given the power to choose, he would choose Cameroon. That is the country in which anything can be done to the people and you just accept. And nobody asks a question. So we sat down and said, let us get on. We have no means, as the government tells us, that they are poor wretches, disappointed people. Let us see what they are doing. They have sent some Cameroonians to the World Court in The Hague to say that they were people of our party and there was nothing going on at home. Everything was at ease. We were only telling lies. But we knew that they have been paid to do the work they came out to do. So on the long run, we decided to go to Nigeria. We went to Nigeria and Nigeria couldn't accept the fact of annoying any state around them. They wanted to work in collaboration. As a leading nation in the continent, we should work in collaboration with everyone. We looked at the whole situation and saw with sympathy that their idea of working for the good of every country in Cameroon in Africa was a very good idea. But you have people in certain countries who are maltreated, who are beaten, who are killed. In some cases, refused even to live. And we have no means of talking. Then there was a Banjul treaty there, which was hidden, which the Republic of Nigeria had signed, and which the Republic of Cameroon has signed. Without respecting the boundaries of the colonialists that were left, it gave one possibility. If a man or a group of people had a problem against their government, since they cannot take that matter to the United Nations or to the World Court because they are not members, any of the countries can take up the matter and bring it up to the United Nations. So we found, with the aid of one of our brothers, we decided to go ahead. We even went to the extent of changing our name for the case of the freedom of Cameroon, because Cameroon has used our own name to send agents to say there was nothing happening, everything was okay. So we said, let us change this name for the purpose of our independence, so that if they come round again tomorrow and change the people they are sending to say everything is good, the world will know where they are and what they are. We sued Nigeria to court. They were surprised. Many people were very unhappy. They could not understand what we were after. So on the long run, however, our lawyers spoke, and the presiding lawyer from Lagos who came up found that we had enough grounds to bring our case before the United Nations. And we have enough grounds to call upon a country in Africa to bring up the case. Why have you only come to Nigeria? Why didn't you go to Ghana? Why didn't you go to other countries? Yes, we could. We wanted something to be known at one time. We sued the Cameroon. And when we sued the Cameroon, the person who accepted the papers was dismissed, was thrown away from work, and no answer was given about all what we had paid. So we found this was a country in which there was a degree of democracy. And inside that democracy, they had to call experts to look at the case, and the government later on surrendered when the officer in charge of the courts of Nigeria declared that the Southern Cameroonian case must be heard. Our lawyers spoke. And finally, however, the government gave up. And so we're happy they had taken over the case of Southern Cameroon. And so they have taken it to the World Court. After that, we're spread all over the country. We are waiting. If, however, any tricks again come in, then we know that the United Nations has to wait to see bloodshed before they give freedom to people. They will know that the problems that took place in the Rivers region in Central Africa was a European-made trick to kill people. And they will continue to make these tricks to kill us. We have decided not to kill Africans, but to speak the truth. Those who are using arms to force us into a situation should know that arms never end a quarrel, and we are fighting to the end. We are waiting to bring our case to the United Nations, and we believe that by the 10th of next month, is it this month? June. Oh God, we are already in the month of June. So by the 10th of this month, we will be able to come to the United Nations to tell them our position. And we have other plans if we are not satisfied. We cannot force the world to satisfy us. We are only telling the world that they should not leave us like that. They should not leave us in danger. They should not leave us to suffer. And they should not leave us a primitive people to be controlled by another primitive, untrained body for their own good. That is one of the reasons why I thought I should come here and talk to our brothers and sisters who are here, to know that they are not here at home. They will have to come home someday. And the home to which they shall come should be an independent home, a free home, where they shall have a possibility of a free enterprise to make their country a better one, not to come back into slavery, as some of us have been. Not to come back where they can be beaten and maltreated by small boys who have had no education. Not to come back and write letters that can never be answered. Not to come back and be drunkards and drink only to forget the future of their country. That is why I came along. I came along also to tell you that we have to make the body of lawyers who attended to us to come here. Even if it is only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of them come here, we want them to come here. Unfortunately, we have no means of entertaining them. But we have to feed them. People cannot work for you like that and you leave them alone. We know that at home we have been made as poor as possible. Here, you are in a country of liberty, where you can live for yourself, where you can help. And we have come to ask you, I have come, sent by my colleagues, to ask you to give us help to survive, so that when you come back home, you are coming to meet your brothers and sisters, your fathers and mothers, living more happily than they have ever lived for the last 100 years.
So what is your mission to the United States?
My mission to the United States is first to know what Cameroonians from my part of the country, the Southern Cameroons, are doing here to understand them and to tell them exactly what we people in southern Cameroon, the people of southern Cameroon, are doing back at home, to compare it and tell them what I believe is the truth.
And what is the truth?
The truth is this, that you do not, and I do not belong to La République du Cameroun. La République du Cameroun is a different country according to United Nations, controlled by the French all along, where the learned and the rich are citizens of France, and Paris is their home. We are southern Cameroonians who were being controlled by the United Kingdom. Not that we were members of the United Kingdom. They were only looking at us, controlling us through the advice of the United Nations until we became independent.
Are we independent?
In a sense, our independence had been voted for, but we are treated, I don't know what I should say. The worst of what we have had is slavery. We have been treated like slaves. We have seen examples of people we respected in the former southern Cameroon, beaten by small boys, flogged, forced to sit in the mud, not respected. Some of them are already dead. We have seen children whom we employed one day, even in kitchens, who became gendarmes, punished their own sisters, and brought people from the Republic of Cameroon. And those people sexed school children, forced youth to sex their mothers under gunpoint. We have seen the so-called gendarmes beat our people, shoot at them, kill at them, because of the things that the Southern Cameroonians have done for the good of our country and La République has done for their own good of their own country. So we have had no link whatsoever. Even the so-called agreement between Southern Cameroon and La République was vague. It had no future. It did not fulfill the conditions which have been placed down by the United Nations. Great Britain was not there when the meetings were being held in Fumban. And nobody signed the papers. Foncha refused to sign any paper. And the meeting was not called again. We are not Southern Cameroonians. We are just Southern Cameroonians. We are not members of La République du Cameroun. Because, for sure, if we were members of La République du Cameroun, Ambassador King wouldn't have written to Ahiju. I am handing over to you what my country has asked me to hand over to you, the people of Southern Cameroon. That showed that we were no longer a republic, which was a federation. We were no longer a federation. It would not have been possible that the Prime Minister of England at that time should write a letter to Ahiju informing him that on the 30th of September 1961, his responsibilities with Southern Cameroon had ended. So he has handed everything over to him.
Or the Prime Minister of England wrote that letter to Ahidjo?
Yes, he wrote that letter. We are not people of La République du Cameroon. Because on the 30th of September, the British pulled out and the French came in full with their army, all armed, and took over the country from north to south. And Mr. J.S. Mill, who handed the country to Ahidjo, did it without any interest about those who have been prime ministers in southern Cameroon. Mr. Foncha never received an honor of getting the independence of his people. The thing was given to Ahidjo. So we had nothing. So we see that from the time we were given to the British to look after our independence, they did nothing at all but to bring us into the hands of another administration, which is worse than their own administration. Britain had no right to hand us over when we did not belong to Britain. We belonged to the United Nations, and they were administering us on behalf of the United Nations. That is the situation. We are not. We have done everything possible to see even the present head of state. In 1993, we called up his interest to try to reinstate the Federal Republic as it was meant. He did not give us an answer. We are not members. In 1994, we had a second meeting and we said that this is enough. Why should we not be treated as a free country? He gave us no reply. We found ourselves in a situation where we were not members of La République du Cameroun when we were annexed in 1984, when the president removed the idea of République Unie, which gives the idea at least that we had a country and there was another country which united with us. But by 1984, he wiped away the name of United Republic and he took the former name he had at his own independence, and we found ourselves having no home. Southern Cameroon never existed again. We find ourselves that in 1946, the United Nations had decided clearly that no country can annex Southern Cameroon. No country around Southern Cameroon can annex it. Let me tell you, perhaps some people haven't taken a remark of that the word Cameroon did not only refer to Cameroon on the left-hand side of the Mongo, or of the other side, which we call the French Cameroons. The word Cameroon meant more than that. The people of Chad, the people of Central African Republic, the people of parts of Gabon, the people of Congo, Brazzaville, all of them, together with the people we now call La République du Cameroun, plus Southern Cameroon, they were all in Cameroon. The French people are well organized in cutting their country into small pieces so as to have several presidents to support them in the United Nations. The British were not interested in that. However, at the end, the British saw their errors and they misunderstood the fact that because Foncha was helped by a communist body, the country which Foncha won in the election was going to be communist. In fact, we were the first country in Africa to get government changing from one prime minister to the other without war, without blood, without trouble. That is the easy atmosphere in which your people, your fathers, your grandfathers, and we lived. Unfortunately, we find ourselves now in a situation where we have no home. We were annexed. And by annexing us, those who annexed us could treat us ourselves and the way they would want to treat us. The British people who were with us feared us becoming communists. They believed that we shall become communists because they believed that communism helped Funcha to come to power. This is the real situation. But I'm telling you the truth, we have never been communists. They even painted some of us as agents of communism. But we have never done anything communist. This is the situation in which we find ourselves today. They have beaten us. No cases have been decided. We have been arrested and moved from the southwest to the western part of the country. We have been arrested in Mbuya and moved to Yaoundé, judged by a different law, and refused to judge us by the law we accepted from the beginning of our time. So there is really no unity. But take care, we have no enemies. We don't want enemies. And we are working with the truth in our lips. Those who work under the influence of lies shall be proved by the world of love, by the world of dignity, by the world that we hope to build for the future of our people, the world of equality, the world of democracy.
What is the role of the UN? You've spoken of the British, you've spoken of the Republic. What is the role of the UN in this? And what responsibilities does the UN have?
I have the impression that the United Nations have been misled by Britain. They went ahead to tell the people of the United Nations that, look here, this country cannot be by itself. It is incapable of being by itself. And we cannot give them the key of England to open the safes of England to give them money. They were poor people. Today, over 70% of what that whole country is thought of as a republic is using for development is coming from southern Cameroon. Yet the amount they get is below 5% to develop their country. In fact, they have made it impossible for us to have any benefit of development. And the United Nations has refused to intervene altogether. The United Nations has laws, articles, regulations that guide it, that guide the world. Article 76B did not give a position for any country to become independent only by joining A or B countries. There was nothing like that. But in 1954, we had our self-government. And later on, we changed hands of government peacefully. But in 1961, they told us we were no longer fit to lead ourselves. We should be able to choose Nigeria or Cameroon. The United Nations was there. They only listened. They said nothing. They voted for us to become independent at one time. I do not believe that the United Nations can vote for independence today and tomorrow they will withdraw the independence. 50 people of the then members of the United Nations voted for the independence of Southern Cameroon. 2 people voted against for their own reasons. 9 people abstained They were in doubt. They couldn't understand what the British were after. That is the situation in which we find ourselves. And Article 1608, which was supposed to bring those responsible for Southern Cameroon, that is the British and United Nations, who were supposed to come and hand over this federal government to a body which shall be elected, never came. They never came. And they knew that the Republic du Cameroon closed the House of Assembly in Southern Cameroon. They did nothing. So it looks as if there was no real supervision of what was going on in different parts of the world. And Africa really was treated as a second-hand property that they never bothered about. This United Nations is still there. Let them look at their laws. Let them look at their articles of association, whether there's anything in the world where they have joined a Franco nation to an Anglo nation. Or they have given the opportunity to the Francophones to call the Anglophones Anglophiles. They are the observers. They are the supervisors of the countries of the world. We have written to the United Nations. They only say they cannot attend to us because we are not members of the United Nations.
Is the UN the final authority as to whether the people of Southern Cameroon have their independence or not?
I think that the UN is the final authority, and when they voted for the independence of Southern Cameroon, they had voted. But after that, their Secretary General came to attend conferences which were summoned by La République du Cameroun after they had annexed us. In fact, that is what we believe. The elections of 1972 were a real annexation. The laws that were agreed upon were that if any of the houses of assembly did not agree with what was passed in parliament by the people of Eastern Cameroon or by the people of La République, then that law cannot pass. It cannot be accepted. Unfortunately, the House of Assembly had been closed. Which was that House of Assembly to agree or disagree on anything put up by the House of Assembly from Yaoundé. That is what was true. But after that, it is the Republic of Southern Cameroon itself which ought to be independent. In my own purpose, in my own opinion, I think that the idea of unification should be an idea which should belong to the people of the countries to unite. It will only call upon the association, the friendship of people of the United Nations. The United Nations have done their work and left us alone for that same United Nations to preside over meetings which are next to us.
I want to ask the question that I just asked you in a different way. Is there a higher authority than the UN to decide what kind of life the people of Southern Cameroon are going to live?
I think that the people of the Southern Cameroons have a responsibility for their independence. It is not another body. It was because we were at that time a mandated territory under the United Nations that they gave us to Britain to look after us. And as soon as the time of our independence came, I don't think that they should dictate to us what we should do for the development of our country. And I feel that La République has dictated to us, particularly since 1972. And we have written to the United Nations, we have written to the World Court, we have written to other international organizations like Britain to defend us. And they have done nothing to defend us. And they go to the extent of saying, oh, La République is French, it's under the French. We are not French, we are not English. We want to be Southern Cameroonians. And we have a reason why we think we should be responsible for the development of our people and ourselves.
It is time for you to pack and go, my neighbor. It is time for you to pack and go. We have stayed together for 42 long years, and these have been 42 years of long suffering. We have stayed together for 42 long years, and these have been 42 years of long suffering.